Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Personality chart, where we saw what is knowledge. Started the analysis with knowledge, and then the analysis goes to action, actor, and many aspects. Now, why do you study these three? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, the three gunas in the personality. Even though your personality is actually functioning of your mind and intellect. What you are using is only your mind and your intellect, your emotions and thinking. These are the two equipments. That is what you transact with actually. But in this, where does this Sattva, Rajas, Tamas fits into? Sir, why do we have to discuss the qualities here, the gunas now? That's a primary thing you need to understand first. This Sattva, Rajas, Tamas works exactly like a climate. We transact only with the trees. There's no doubt about it. But the tree appears different at different periods of time. Same tree. In fall, you see the tree looks very different. In spring, you see the tree looks very different. In summer, you see the tree looks very different. In winter, you see the tree looks very different. But the tree is same. It is the same tree. Why the difference is? Because of the climate. Similarly, this mind and intellect works in a particular climate internally. That inner climate is what is referred by the scriptures as Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Was the greatest contribution by the sage Kapila. That's what Krishna says in the Gita. Among the Munis, I am Kapila Muni, he says. This sage Kapila, who is the founder of the Sankhya philosophy. So originally, this contribution of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas is not Vedanta analysis. Vedanta doesn't do this analysis actually. Even though there is a reference of this three, we find in this, Upanishads, Chandogya and, Kathopanishad and all refers it. But there is no detailed analysis of this three. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, detailed analysis was done only by Kapila, Sankhya. And Vedanta absorbed it from them. So that's what Krishna does in the Gita. He takes the ideas which are all useful and very connected, relevant, and adapts that and fits in with Vedantic ideas and gives us a complete system. So that is what Vedanta advantages. In Vedanta, we take up wherever we find, material which is worthy, useful for us, we will take it up. There's no problem. That's how it is growing. The system grew. How, sir? By adapting, by accepting, by merging those ideas into the system. Now, whenever you study Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, you have to give your respects to Sage Kapila only. Thanks for that, man. Fantastic contribution. And Krishna takes that idea and presents it in that particular order. And of course, he gives few other ideas also in the other chapters also. But you find that in the Gita, we have a couple of places where he gives the reference. Now here we start the analysis from understanding what is action. Every action proceeds with knowledge, and there has to be an actor, and the equipment that you are supposed to use to perform action is the intellect. That's the difference between animals and human. You know, only human is endowed with this intellect, buddhi, to think. So when he is performing action, he should be performing actions using that intellect. So we study the intellect's climate also, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Then we see how consistent you are in your performance of action. How consistently you are doing that action. There again we find the three. And then what is the final goal of all these actions? Is final goal of all action is happiness. So we study happiness also. And is it performance of action alone is happiness? No. We have another way of finding happiness also. By doing, we find happiness. By avoid doing also, we find happiness. Therefore, renunciation also we study here. Otherwise, strictly speaking, with this 6, the personality chart should be complete. There's no necessity for us to be studying in this context about why we have to study about renunciation here. Tyaga, why we have to study, sir? Why we study is the final goal of human endeavor is to find happiness, and we all find happiness in 2 ways. Meeting few people is a joy. Not meeting few people is also joy, isn't it? When somebody comes home, it is a pleasure. Someone is not coming home is also pleasure for you. When you do something, there is pleasure. When you don't do something, there is pleasure. So either case, we are seeking pleasure. How? 2 ways. So if you are moving in the direction of action, then this 6, then this 5. Suppose if you say, I'm going in the direction of non-renunciation, there again we find there is a aspect there. Therefore, we study these 7 dimensions of what is the personality. How do you assess your personality? And in this personality chart, you get 2 things here. Primarily, this personality chart is not for you to identify your current spiritual status. That's not the main purpose of it. The main purpose of personality chart is to identify in which area I have to work, where I have to direct my effort. For that we study this. It's not only to know. Of course, it helps you to know what is your current status in terms of your evolution, where you stand in your evolutionary path. Yes, it does help you there. But that's not the primary thing here. The primary thing is, I am determined to put in this effort. If I am determined to put in that effort, in which direction I have to go, where I have to work. For that, this personality chart will give you a fantastic indication where to begin, where to start, in which aspect you have to work more, where you can direct your efforts. That's the idea of this personality chart. So remember the purpose of personality chart. Now it is not just to know what is the point. It's like you get to know whether you have the disease or not. You do the diagnosis only for what? The diagnosis is done only to decipher what course of medication to be administered. If you are not going to be administering medication, it's a waste of time for us to go for the study, the diagnostic procedure to go through is just a, otherwise you are getting some free coupon, when you have this, medical insurance policy, when you take, they give you free coupon for complete test. So you get it done. Like that we will also do. Now that's not the purpose of diagnosis, please. Similarly, this personality chart gives us the diagnostic one. Now here we start the analysis by studying what is this jnanam. What is this jnanam? Satvic. What is Satvic Jnanam? To put it in one word, Advaita Jnanam, Satvic Jnanam. Advaita Bhava, Satvic Jnanam. Dvaita Bhava, Rajasic Jnanam. Dehatma Bhava, Tamasic Jnanam. Problem solved. He puts it so easy. He says, all that you have to understand is what? Wherever I see oneness, that's called Advaita. Don't immediately go to this, Ishwaran is talking about Shankara, Advaita, Madhva, all that. Don't start all those things immediately. This is where the problem is. You see, Advaita means what is it? There are no two. There is no difference between you and me. That is called Advaita Bhava. Wherever I have that vision, I have Satvic Jnanam. Then comes the second one. Wherever I see you are different, I am different. The differences when you see, which is what we call as Dvaita. Different. You are different, I am different. The difference is what is referred as Dvaita. Dvaita Bhava, which is Rajasic knowledge. What is Tamasic knowledge? Tamasic knowledge is to take this body to be the personality. I am the body. So everything I live in my life, everything I view only with reference to my body. Now that we have got into this coronavirus problem, we have interpretations for our certain disciplines which have been told in the scriptures. People do namaste. Why you are told to do namaste? What is your interpretation? Your interpretation is only with reference to what? Physical well-being. All that religious disciplines that is being told to us, right? All that we connected only to what? That makes sense. Yeah, that is correct. We say only with reference to, if it is linked to my bodily welfare, so my perception about me is what? That is what we mean by Dehatma Bhava. Now, I am taking myself to be the body. When we say, we don't even understand what that statement is. We'll say, yeah, I am not the body. Yeah, of course, I heard that. I have heard your Swamiji saying, a lot of them say that. Your Swami, says, I am not the body. 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 Okay. Everything you view only with reference to your physical body. The pleasures of life also you can understand, appreciate, is only through the physical body. The subtler pleasures we cannot connect to. Subtler pleasures means what? The aesthetic dimensions of life. Many can't understand that. Many can't appreciate the subtleties, the subtler pleasures of life. They cannot relate to. They can't, identify with that. What is in that? non-stop. Even you go to a movie, there is an interval break. If you go to this classical music concert, 3.5 hours, 4 hours they sing. There is no break at all. There is no interval break there. They just keep going. 4 hours. Lot of people can't relate to it. And the subtler joys, that intellectual joy, is far more difficult for them. Why? They can't even relate to it. It's not existing for them. The subtler pleasures of life don't exist for this. From sheer knowledge you get pleasure. People don't even understand that. That is what we used to teach the youngsters. Hey, there is pleasure in learning. What do you mean? They don't even understand that. Why? That's what we call as liberal education. In liberal education, you learn for what? The pleasure of learning, pleasure of knowing, pleasure of study. That's not available for these people. Why is that? Everything connected to the body only. This is the basic theorem. Then comes the riders. Then comes the derivations. Then we come to the ideas. Because straight away, if you were to take, are you having Advaita Bhava? What is the, if you have to judge, what is the percentage you will give to yourself? Where will you say? Advaita Bhava, how much you have? So every aspect of this personality chart when you are studying, be careful. In one aspect, when you go, you should concentrate more in terms of Satva. Promote that. Rajas and Tamas, you keep it secondary. In another aspect, what you do is you concentrate more in terms of Rajas and Tamas. Sattva you keep aside. In knowledge, what you should do, sir? Don't worry about how much Satvic knowledge you have. Focus in terms of first identifying how much of Rajasic and how much of Tamasic you have. Once you identify these two, what is left out will become Satvic, CC. So when we go last, when we go final, when I'm telling in the last class, how do you prepare the chart? I will explain that. I will come back to it at that stage, so that we see all 7 aspects. Each aspect I recommend. It's not that that's how it should be done. That's not what I'm saying. It's only my recommendation. That's about it. So that it is easier for us to prepare it. Otherwise, many times the problem is when you start, we will not even know how to give what, how you measure, how do you, on what basis you will give your marks per percentages. It will become difficult for us. Therefore, I say you do it later. But right now, understand this. Sattva means this, Rajas means this, Tamas means this. Very basic. Then we move to the second idea of Satvic knowledge means what, sir? In any knowledge, anything that you have gained, there are 2 aspects. One, facts, another one, opinion. When you come to the worldly dimensions, don't always connect it only to Brahman, Atman, self perception. See, you will be able to see the self only after realization. Till realization, you will never have Satvic knowledge. If you take it to the absolute sense, so you can't always go with the absolute idea. So you have to bring it down to, from there you come down. First you understand that and then step down. Only then you can relate to it. Otherwise it will be difficult. What is this application dimension of it, sir? Application dimension is, sir, every knowledge that I am carrying, how much of that is facts and how much of that is opinion? How much I am getting carried away by the opinion, how much fact I am relating to in life. Isn't it? How do you know the difference between facts and opinion? Go back to the basic one. Satvic knowledge. Consequence is what? Harmony. Correct. Peace and harmony is the effect of Satvic knowledge. So if you say that I have Satvic knowledge, that means what? You should be in harmony. Now, facts, opinion. When you say these two things, immediately apply the rule here. You can identify what is a fact and what is an opinion, sir. Opinion is that which something disturbs me. To what I get attracted to. Do I get attracted to fact or do I get attracted to opinion? All gossip is what? Opinions, no. I don't know what is happening in their house. Something and all is going on. I don't know about him. This, that. So much you talk. Most of the time, the discussion, the talk that you have is based on your opinion. Now, what is opinion this way? He says very beautiful. It's very simple. What is it, sir? Now, yeah. There are 98 participants who attended the class today. What is that? It's a fact. You can check it out. As of now, it is 98. I just saw. 98 participants attended the class. Correct. What is opinion? 98 people appreciated the class. Who knows? See, 98 were there. That doesn't mean 98 is appreciating the class. Not necessarily. Or 98 people were there that 98 did not. Bangalore is a city. Fact. Bangalore is a beautiful city. What is that? It's called opinion. See, you see the difference. When you have more and more of opinions in you, more and more of disturbance you will get. The facts will never disturb. The facts never disturb a person. Impossible. There is a person, there is a car met with an accident. It's a fact. A car met with accident. Fact. My car met with accident. What is it now? Immediately the question will be what? Is it my car? That my car is what? It is opinion, right? Did the car tell you, I belong to you? Have you taken the consensus from that car? No. We just assume. See, we just take it for granted. My car, you will get affected. A car met with accident, you will not get affected. There is no affectation. The moment you switch over to the fact, a car met with accident, that's it. There is no affectation. You don't get disturbed. So what's the difference between facts and opinions? Therefore, Satvic knowledge is what? More you move with facts, you are having Satvic knowledge. Then don't immediately say Rajasic knowledge means more opinion. Maybe you can put it across like that also. But that's not the focus here. The focus now is to identify what amount of Satvic knowledge I have got. More and more I have, more and more I have opinions, more and more disharmony. What is it, sir? It's a norm amongst all of us in the social gathering. What is it, sir? If you want to maintain your friendship with people, don't discuss politics and religion. Never you should discuss politics and religion with people. Why? Why you should not? The problem is, the moment you start the discussion with reference to politics or you start discussions with religion, immediately fight will start. Why fight? That is why all of us have come to one agreement. What is it, sir? We agree to disagree. As though we are all such great, knowledgeable people. Just to escape that disharmony. That's all. Just to escape. I cannot stand the disharmony, therefore I seek harmony. That is called the Tamasic knowledge. Remember, that is Tamasic. That's not Satvic. Why? All religion is what? It's nothing but opinions. All that ideas that you are carrying about religion, how much of it is fact and how much of it is opinion? When you are discussing facts, you will never find disharmony. And at what level maximum disharmony comes, sir? At the intellectual level only. Physical and emotional disharmony is not much. Differences and all is not much, actually speaking, in life. Maximum disharmony you find in life is where? Not at the body, not at the mind. Where? Intellectual. Intellectual fight is where maximum fight happens. How do you know, sir? These two things, none of us are comfortable, no? Have you ever had a conversation, a discussion with someone politically? What is the proof? Look at all the TV shows. Have you ever found one discussion or debate without screaming? Normal. Have you seen anyone speaking in normal pace? Normal pace, it will be happening only to the extent where the other person is having a Q&A session. If the interview is happening, there it will be a normal tone. The moment it gets into the mode of a discussion, what happens? See, question answer will happen between who? The student will ask a question, the teacher will give answer. So long as that difference is there, I am a student, is a teacher. The difference is there, there is no problem. The moment you put two fellows equal, that is why most people don't get into that equal platform talk itself. They don't even get on. Either they have to talk to you, means only one thing. You have to take that other person to be superior to you. Then they will talk to you. Otherwise, they will not talk. I'm not saying that is right and wrong and all those things. That's not my point. The moment it comes to equal, what happens? Disharmony. So I can't stand disharmony. The disharmony causes so much of agitation to me, so that it disturbs my mind, disturbs my peace. So I avoid that. I resolve. Family problem. I am the first person to step in to resolve that family dispute. Why? I can't stand my family having a difference. I can't take it. Since I cannot take it, I step in. This is called Tamasic Jnanam. The Satvic Jnanam is what, sir? In every aspect of life, everything that you transact with intellectually, you ask only one question. Am I transacting with fact or am I transacting with opinion? Am I carrying fact or am I carrying opinion? This is called Satvic Jnanam. What is Rajasic Jnanam, sir? Rajasic Jnanam we saw already. What does it, sir? Means Dvaita Bhava. You are different, I'm different. This is different. This is different, different, different. All the differences exist at the level of the equipments. The level of equipments are all different. No two eyes are same. No two noses is same. No two ears is same. Everything is different. Everyone feels it is different, different, different. So when we experience that, the differences, and you see the differences and get carried away by the differences is called rajasic knowledge. Jnanam, I told you, don't take it as technical knowledge that we have seen already. Jnanam means cognition, perception. That is called jnanam. What is happening is I see the differences and I get carried away by the differences. Why? Because my priorities in life is towards what? What do I prioritize in my life? The priority is more towards my equipments. Therefore, consequences what? Disharmony and disturbance, agitation. So rajasic knowledge means a superficial perception, surface perception. You see the ornaments and get carried away by those ornaments and the designs. That is called rajasic knowledge. Your entire thinking is colored, highly opinionated. That is called rajasic knowledge. Colored. But what is interesting about that person is he wants to attain that unity. Satvic knowledge, seeing unity in diversity, means the diversified things he sees unity. Means the process is unity, end could be diversity for him. It doesn't matter. Whereas for the rajasic knowledge, what is it, sir? Unity is the end. Through diversity, he strives to achieve unity. Is it ever possible? It's impossible. By dividing, we expect this is what all of us do. Where we do that? Current generation, it's very, very common in all of us now. What is it, sir? The moment the child is married, first thing we do is what? Stay separately. Divide, Once the division has happened, we believe what? And I divide my properties, to my kids. That's why the current generation says we will have only one child. And the very new generation says what, sir? Let us not have child itself. Why? Too much of a problem. So what to do? How do you maintain that harmony in the family? Unity of the family can be maintained only by dividing the properties properly. What is that called? That is called rajasic knowledge. That's where these definitions are very, very important. You see, if you don't have this definition, we think this is something of a great value. We think we are doing something extraordinary. Wow, what a great... Correct? No, sir. It will look so genuine and so perfect. To a rajasic person, the rajasic knowledge will look correct. Tamasic person, tamasic knowledge will look correct. Satvic person, Satvic knowledge will look correct. That's all. You see, very interesting. What is it? Rajasic knowledge means rajasic perception, rajasic vision of life is through division, I strive to achieve oneness. By dividing the society to different brackets, trying to strive unity, impossible. It will cause more and more of friction only. This is Rajasic knowledge. Very interesting dimension, Rajasic knowledge. Then comes the Satvic knowledge. Tamasic knowledge. Satvic, Rajasic, Tamasic knowledge. What is Tamasic knowledge here? He is classic. Somehow I always like Tamasic. I identify that very well. Tamasic knowledge, superb is. What is it? Taking a part as a whole. That is called the Tamasic knowledge. A limited, narrow perspective, steeped in fanaticism, an egocentric viewpoint in life. That is called Tamasic knowledge. Tamasic knowledge, application is this. Dehatma Bhava is one thing that you can understand. You'll say body is real and everything is, ultimate is body only for him. He takes the body to be himself. That's it. There's nothing else beyond that. Exact opposite is what we see in people like Ramana and all. You say, Ramana Maharishi, if you see that man, when they try to do operation, they want to do some surgery, he said, you got to scoop that, the cancer. They have to do some surgery. He said, yeah, you do it. Anesthesia. He said, I don't need anesthesia. You want to do it. And they were doing the surgery. What was he doing, sir? Reading a book. He was reading a book. And they said, we have completed the surgery. He said, yeah, fine, thank you. So, finish the stitching and all that. Go home. Where is that and where are we standing? As you are walking, one small stone hits your toe. What happens to you? Oh, yeah. I am not saying from today onwards, we will walk only on that. All that, please. Don't do the other way around. Okay. It's a perception. It is a vision of what you think yourself to be. What are you? What is Tamasic knowledge, sir? Tamasic knowledge is a very, very narrow perspective on any subject, any field. You take a very narrow idea, very few you take, and then try to understand that itself is totality. A narrow perspective. That is called Tamasic knowledge, where you take a part as the whole. Tamasic knowledge. Then we move on to action. A fascinating idea. Action. Action is also classified under three categories: Satvic action, Rajasic action, Tamasic action. When you go to the Upanishads, very interesting. In the Upanishads, they take only the Satvic action to be action. They don't consider Rajasic and Tamasic as action itself. For them, action means only Satvic action. Rest are all not considered. Like I said, no, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna drops that word, jnanam, when he discusses Tamasic jnanam. Same way, it's not considered by those people, in fact. So, what is this Satvic action? Satvic action, Vihita karma. What you ought to do. Obligatory action. Rajasic action, what is it, sir? Kamya karma. Desired action. What is Tamasic action, sir? reckless action. Nishiddha karma. That's why this for tamasic action they give extreme examples. Like drinking, killing, stealing. Now most of us will say what? Sir, those things and all we are not doing. Therefore, I am not doing any tamasic action in fact. That is why we go back to the concept. Don't go by the expressions. Whenever you are studying these things, remember, gunas has two dimensions. One is the mental temperament and the temperament having a particular expression. When I am explaining to you, I can explain to you only with reference to the expressions. But what you have to do is, don't get stuck with the expressions. Through that expressions, try to go back to the temperament. That is why I always start with the definition and then go to examples. See, from example, when you derive something, it becomes difficult for us to derive the right material. See, so don't go by the examples and expressions, please. I will be giving examples. Tamasic action. What is tamasic action, sir? You want a live example? I'll give now. Tamasic action. What is it? Right now, if you see, I am sitting here and talking to you people, right? And there are about 30-40 people who have switched off their video. You have been told to switch off your audio. Why? It will be disturbing to the class. Now, 30-40 people have switched off their video. Why? You see that? It is easy for us. Why is it, sir? What is it? See, the reasoning will go like that for those people. Tamasic jnanam will make tamasic action. What is tamasic jnanam here? See, in what way you keeping your video on is connected to the class? Your speaker should be on, correct? Your audio should be muted, correct? Why? Those two things are directly connected to you listening to the class, isn't it? In what way your video being on is connected to the class? Isn't it? There's no connection, no, actually speaking. Actually, there is no relationship. There is a direct relationship between you keeping your speaker on in your system or in your phone. Wherever you are listening to, the speaker should be on. If your speaker is muted, what will happen? You can't hear the class. So you have to keep it on. Then you have to mute your mic. Why? Because it will be disturbing to me. As a result of that, my talk will get disturbed. As a result of which, you gaining that knowledge will get disturbed. So you have to keep that muted. Correct. Now, why you have to keep your video on? The organizers have given you one reason. What is the reason being given to you? Please keep your video on. Every day I get the report. Not for this class, in fact. From Ramayana class onwards. You see, very interesting. It's been already about 25 days I have passed. What is that, sir? Security reasons. So what do? We log in, show my face for a few minutes, and then I switch off. Why? See, you wanted your security to be no. Now that security is given to you, that I am the one, it's not a system, somebody is. Is that the reason? Then why do you keep your video on? Only then you will be scared. Otherwise, if your video is off, like in few years back, one fellow, one guy in Bangalore, he asked me, Iswaran, I'm very uncomfortable with one idea, but my company, they're asking me to do this. I said, what? They're asking us to put, the CCTV camera inside the office. Of course, we need to keep it outside so that we know who's coming, who's going, and all that. But inside the office, our employees are all working. It's like, somebody is looking at you all the time. You better work. Are you working or not? I said, I'm feeling so uncomfortable. So what to do? I said, you just keep the video. CCTV camera you keep, but you don't have to keep the wiring. There's no necessity for you to. All that people have to know is what? Somebody is watching me. Somebody is watching me gives immediately what to you? When nobody is watching you, what do? You will be sitting, having a cup of coffee and snacks. You will be walking up and down. You will be doing your jogging. You see that? What is this action? This is called Tamasic action. Definition of Tamasic action. What is it, sir? Now don't go, this is what I said. Now don't go backwards and say, okay, all those people who are not having their things are all Tamasic people. Now, I don't know. You see, there may be a genuine problem with your system also. Who knows? I have no idea. I'm only saying this is if you are doing it, that's where the difference is. You are all following what I'm saying. The difference between, from example, if you were to derive a principle, this is the problem. That's what I'm trying to explain. I'm not asking you people to keep your video on. You keep your video on, you keep your video off. It doesn't make any difference to me, because you will learn only what you can learn. There's nothing is going to happen to you. Nothing can be done from my side. But what I'm trying to explain from here is, don't try to understand this temperaments by its expression. Because in expression, I have to explain what is Tamasic action. Tamasic action means to sit on a class without that commitment to the class, without that discipline to the class. What is it, sir? Keeping the video off so that I can do whatever I want. Then you go back and say what? Oh, all those 30 people are there in video off. Therefore, all the 30 fellows are Tamasic. No, that way you can't go. You can't go backwards. This is where the problem is. Just because you go to temple doesn't mean you are a bhakta. When I say, you can't look outside and see one man going to the temple. Oh, he's going to the temple. Therefore, he cannot be a bhakta. You see, this is where you will direct. This is where you land up. That is why we never go by expression. Always go by the definition. Try to understand those qualities as temperament, as quality, by the definition of it. Don't take it based on its expressions. In fact, if expressions were to be considered, you will make a lot of mistakes, because now we go to the principle. Why? What is a principle? In the human personality, grossest dimension of a human personality is what? And suppose all of you are familiar with the human constitution. Okay. Grossest aspect is body. Subtler than body is mind. Subtler than mind is intellect. Subtler than intellect is the self. Therefore, the subtlest aspect of a human personality is the self, soul, Atman, Brahman, pure consciousness, etc. Now, expressions comes under the category of what? Body. So, the furthest point of the personality you touch and conclude about the core. Through the gross, you conclude the subtle. It's an error. From the subtle only you should conclude the gross. From the gross you should never conclude the subtle. Therefore, in Vedanta we say never try to understand something through action, through expression, through behavior, through conduct. So always go by what, sir? Go by the subtle. That's why the scriptures, that's why Kapila had spent so much of time to teach. Krishna had spent so much of energy to teach about what is Satvic action, Rajasic action, Tamasic action, Satvic, Dhriti, Satvic happiness, Rajasic happiness. This, all these things they struggled to teach us. Why? Don't go by expression. Come here, get the definitions clear. Then see how that is expressing. So from here you go. Don't try to travel reverse. If you travel reverse, you are in trouble. That's the only thing I'm just explaining now. Now, what is this? Satvic action. Satvic action means actions performed as obligations, duty. Only obligatory actions were considered as Satvic action. Rajasic action is what, sir? Action performed with kartrutva buddhi, you say, with that sense of doership, egoism, that I am the doer. I am the performer of this action. That is called Rajasic action. Tamasic action is action propelled out of delusion, out of sense of obligation. You do an action, Satvic action. Out of the sense of kartrutva or the doership, you do an action, that is called Rajasic action. Delusion propels you to perform an action, that is called Tamasic action. Then we go to the derivations. Definition is this. Basic idea. In one word, if you have to put it up. Satvic action, obligation. Rajasic action, ego, egocentric. Tamasic action, delusive. One word. Right. Now we go to the derivation of, okay, now what is obligatory action? This is where all of us will give. Definitely most of us, at least Indians, will give easily 75 marks. Why? Every one of us believe we are all doing our obligation, isn't it? I'm doing my duty only, sir. We have a duty, no. A duty, no, duty, no, duty, no. So all of us are performing what action? Obligatory action only. No, that's where he gives that obligatory action you have to perform with a particular attitude. That's the second step. The first step is you have to be performing obligatory action. Step 1. Step 2, that obligatory action you should perform in a particular way. Only then it becomes Satvic action. Okay, it has two aspects to it. Satvic action. One is I am doing my duty. The duty is performed with that particular outlook, with the particular attitude. What is attitude? Without attachment and without this attachment to the fruit of action, without the propulsion of my likes and dislikes. My likes and dislikes don't propel my action. I am doing my duty. Why? Because I like it. Many a times when you see if you have about 10 obligations in life, let's say, which are the obligations you will be performing, sir? Those obligations, obligatory actions to which you have a liking. If I like that obligatory action, I will do it. See, He says, no, there should not be this one. Then he says, during that performance of action, there should not be the sense of doership. Without that sense of doership during the action, then every action will produce a result, right? Every effort will have an effect. There is a cause, means there has to be a consequence. You can never have a cause, there is no consequence at all for it. There is no effect at all for it. Impossible. Every cause will have an effect. Every effort will have an effect. Every cause will have a consequence. It is impossible. So every action will have the result, fruit of action. There should not be an attachment to the fruit of action. Fruit of your obligatory action. Understood? So, no desire propelling my obligation, no likes and dislikes. Take it like that. That's easy to understand. No, instead of likes and dislikes, I would prefer even one word. No liking propelling my obligation. No sense of doership in the performance of obligation. No attachment to the fruit of obligatory action. This is the attitude. But then, all these three you should practice in the field of obligation. Right? When you are performing your obligatory actions only, you should do these three. Now, what are we doing, sir? Lot of people try to practice, how can I drop my ego in my office? How can I not have that desire for the fruit of action? Or I work in the office, I should not be worried about the result of. You cannot practice. Even if you try to practice, you will fail only then. It is not possible. So it is impossible for you to clip action from likes and dislikes in non-obligatory field. In the non-obligatory field, in that field of kamya karma, in the field of desired action, in the field of your survival activities, where you are doing those things for your living. Sir, I am working in the office. Why? So that I have to eat? No. He'll say, isn't it? After that, you can't take a stand that I am not going to be worried about the result of action. If you say that, my reply to you will be only this. Connect me to your HR department. What? I'll tell them he will work in the office. Every month, credit the salary to my account. Will you do it? Is it? You'll say what? No. Sir, Ishwaran, you give me your account details. We will transfer how much ever we want to transfer. Don't say that all that work will go to your. Hey, how is that possible, man? No. I say only what? Hey, just now I taught you. No, what? Do your duty. Don't worry about the result. You cannot practice that in your office. Don't try. That's what all of us try now. Everywhere you are told what? You should not have ego in the office. Impossible. You should not have that, sense of this, sense of that. All those things. That's not the field in which you are supposed to practice that. Then where are you supposed to practice it? In the field of your obligation. That puts us two questions now. One, how do I know what is my obligation? Two, how can I ensure that I am performing obligatory action? Isn't it? Suppose if you are performing obligatory action, it should result something, no? It should produce something in you, isn't it? Because just now we saw the principle. What's the principle? Every cause will have a consequence. So, if you perform obligatory duties, it should produce something. Then, if you perform obligatory duties in this manner, it should produce more. You're all with me. You play cricket, even an amateur batsman, amateur players of cricket, when they are playing, they use a particular set of muscles. Correct. It's the same set of muscles will be used by the professional players also. Those who play football on the street also use the same set of muscles. The professional players also use the same set of muscles. But when they use it with a proper training, it's very different than the same muscles used by these people without training. But definitely go into the belief what? Of course, I am doing my duty only, Ishwaran. Everyone will say that I am doing my duty, I am doing my duty, I am doing my duty. But what is the proof? What is the test that you are performing your obligation only? Actually, no. Number one. Number two, on what basis you have derived, this is my obligation. This knowledge with which you perform is called a Satvic action. So what is Satvic action, sir? If you want to understand Satvic action, you need to understand these two things along with that, which is derivation. Then comes Rajasic action and then comes Tamasic action. Right. I'll catch you when you're fresh tomorrow. But what is this? How do you define? Now where we are, sir, we are seeing what is Satvic action, Rajasic action, Tamasic action in a very, very brief. Now we got stuck in this at this phase now. He said, sir, Satvic action means performance of obligation, which I am doing already, is what I believe. Now we challenge that, we question that to find out, am I really doing my obligation or it is just a make believe? I just assumed that I am doing it. This knowledge, is it Satvic or not? We have to check again now. Second one is, suppose if I am performing obligation, that should be producing something in me, no? How am I to know whether I am performing? This is where we are stuck now. We'll try to decode it tomorrow when you're fresh. Hari Om.